Well, hello, Miss Ashley. We are so excited to have you here with us tonight with the Michael L. Johnson Jr. Foundation. And we are so thrilled that Ronny, your son, is a 2021 recipient of a Sunshine's Christmas from our foundation. It is so exciting to have you here with us. How are you today?
Oh my God, I'm doing good. Thank you. It's so happy to be here with you guys today.
Oh,
Never in a million years did I think Ronnie would be nominated for something like this, let alone be a recipient of it, you know? Like
absolutely.
just the nomination itself meant the world for us.
Oh, we're so happy to hear that. We are
Yes.
so happy to hear that. So with that being said, why don't you tell us a little bit about Ronny in this conversation? I really wanted us to really open the floor and be a little transparent to those that may have children with autism that are not at the age yet that where Ronny is, or someone that may be newly diagnosed, to really give them a platform to be comfortable and accept where they are and know that they're not alone and they're not the first ones to go through this, and kind of use this as a reference tool for them. So tell us a little bit about Ronny and how he's special in his own superhero ways.
So Ronnie just turned 5 in October. Our journey with Ronnie started back when he was a year and a half. When maybe like a couple months after he turned the year and a half, we noticed little things that were there before, little by little, started diminishing. Like the eye contact that he had as a baby wasn't there anymore. He used to babble. He used to say mama, dada, baba, like two-syllable words. And over time, he became nonverbal, completely nonverbal. We went through a very long phase where he was nonverbal. We went to 3 different pediatricians, I want to say 3 different neurologists, and the third neurologist was the one that was able to diagnose Ronnie, and he was the one that sent him to behavior therapy. At 2 years old, we were able to get him to start occupational and speech, and that was just because I pushed the pediatrician that I wanted him to get evaluated. He said he was fine. I said, okay, a therapist will evaluate him and tell us if he's fine or not, because at the end of the day, they're the specialist, not you or me. So if they tell me he doesn't need it, he doesn't need it, but I would like to get him evaluated to make sure everything's okay. And he said, okay, mommy, for your peace of mind, we'll get him evaluated. And then that's when they told me, yes, speech therapy 3 times a week, occupational 3 times a week. And that's where we started. We started with speech and occupational. I kept pushing because I felt like he needed more, and then that's when we came up to the third neurologist, which turns out to be my neurologist when I was a baby. You know, he controlled my migraines when I was little, and then as I grew up, he couldn't see me anymore because he's a pediatric neurologist. And so my mom said, oh, this name sounds familiar. And when we looked it up, it was the same neurologist. She said, why don't we just take him to him, since he's already known in the family? So we took him to him, and he was the one that got him diagnosed. He's the one that sent us the behavior therapy, got us the genetic testing, and got us where we are today with Ronnie.
That is a story, but let me just give you a kudos, because I honestly feel sometimes that as you're the parent going through what it is that you're going through, being the advocate for your child, that we're so much in the mode of protecting our child and being the voice for our child, that we don't get the kudos that I feel like you should get right now. Give you all the kudos in really stepping up, knowing something was wrong, and speaking up. We happen to personally know some parents that are in denial about their child being autistic. I can think of 2 right off the top of my head that we know as soon as we walked in the room, we're like, you might want to get some help. And you have to be cautious in how you proceed, because you don't want to offend anyone. You don't want to seem like you're a know-it-all, but when you've lived it, you kind of can see it. And it's not that I'm telling you your child is autistic. I'm telling you, you need to be an advocate to find out what's going on.
What's going on, and help them, because if you don't fight for them and help them push forward, those are the people that don't get the help they need in time, and it could have been prevented up to some point,
Mhm.
to where they can live a very, very normal life, because autism is very misjudged.
Mhm.
I've had people tell me, oh, but your son doesn't look autistic. And it's like, I tell them that's the misconception of autism, because there is no characteristic trait when it comes to autism. It affects every child individually in their own unique way. Not every autism is going to look the same either. You can stand 5 of them in a row, and I promise you, not one is going to be exactly like the other. And it's something that we need to fight for them until we know that they're able to fight for themselves, because that's what they're learning in this process, how to fight for themselves. They see you fighting for them, and that's what's going to teach them how do I do this for me? My mom is doing it for me now. How do I do this on my own without my mother being there holding my hand?
Absolutely. And I totally agree with you where each child is different, which I really believe where the term the spectrum comes from, because you have some that are non-functional, non-verbal. You have some that are highly functional that you may not even be able to see the characteristics of their autism, but those that have it know what they are, what kind of, what they are lacking. So you never know. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah.
No, I just want to say, yeah, that's it's definitely important that as parents of children that have autism, that we are the champion for them to move forward. We're trying to get assistance and resources for them. Our son, it's been almost 2 decades. So the information and the resources that were available then was very limited. So there's a lot more available to parents now, which we didn't have. And it's just nice to see that it's moving, it's progressing to help out parents and families with children that have been affected by autism. So
I think with that progression, it really helps parents not to feel alone. It feels
Yeah.
like, it makes parents feel like they have a safe landing place, like they have, a way to charter through the waters of what it is that they're going through. So I
Listen,
do agree with that.
my navigation was his group of therapists, his speech and occupational therapists, which is who we started this journey with. They were the ones that navigated me through this. We started off with one speech and one occupational therapist, and now his group consists of 3 different occupational therapists and 2 different speech pathologists, which a lot of kids don't get to have that variety in their schedule. Every
Right.
Wednesday he has one specific occupational therapy. On Wednesday he has one, Thursday he has a different one, and Friday he has a different one. But every Wednesday, every Thursday, and every Friday is the same therapist that he had the week before.
okay.
And then now he's working with 2 speech pathologists. The one we originally started with, and she left on maternity leave, so we had another one start working with him. And now that his speech pathologist is back from maternity leave, they're working hand on hand together with Ronnie.
Nice. Nice. What growth do you feel that you've seen from the digression that Ronnie had to his progress now? What growth do you see in the difference?
Wow. Before I couldn't go out with him. We couldn't leave the house. We couldn't leave the house. Just getting into the car was a mission. Getting down from the car was another mission. At the stores, we had the temper tantrums. We couldn't go to nobody's house for holidays because of the loud music. you know. So we started doing holidays at my house. Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, it was my husband, Ronnie, and I at the house. We burned a couple of fireworks, just little small ones to start getting him used to them. Now we can do big fireworks and he's perfectly fine. Something that we couldn't do before. He would run away from them. Now the the little star sticks that you hold on to, the sparklers, so hold on to them now.
Oh, wow.
Something we couldn't do before. So it's been a huge progress. Now we can go out to the store. He'll hold my hand. If we don't sit him in the shopping cart, he's good holding my hand, walking through the store. We're to the point where he wants something and I tell him, you can't have it. He'll fuss for a second, but he won't throw the tantrum that he used to throw before.
Mm,
He'll kind of like let it go, like, okay, no. you know, and he'll move on from it, you know. Um, he did his first full 5-word sentence like a couple weeks ago, which was huge for me. He literally came up to me, he gave me some candy, and he said, "I want more candy." And I said, "Oh my God, you just said a full sentence beginning to end. So you're definitely getting more candy, because you're asking me for it on a full sentence,
Right.
Otherwise you wouldn't be getting candy."
Wow. And I just want to make note of how special that is right there, and how we take it for granted for those of us that have children that are not on the spectrum. JR was our last baby. So we have older children, and he was very different in comparison to our other children. That's how we knew something was wrong. It's a little bit of a blessing, I guess you could say, when you have older children that were, normal, quote unquote, and that hit their regular milestones, and then
Yeah.
have another child, and you're like, wait a minute, you should have been you should have been doing some other things here. So I think that's wonderful that Ronnie, what I mean, what a happy moment for you.
Oh,
For
it was
him.
incredible. It was incredible to hear him say a full sentence without nobody having to guide him, without nobody telling him what to say. Like he just went on by himself and said it,
That
you
is,
know. Like, even if it was to ask for candy.
yes,
Yes.
yes, it's still a win.
Oh,
It's a
yeah.
win.
It's a monumental achievement there.
Yes. And so can you tell us how your family is responding to Ronnie? How are they dealing with the fact that Ronnie has autism, and are they good with him? Like how does your family dynamic work with that?
So at the beginning, it was a little bit rough. I'm not gonna tell you it wasn't. It was always rough at the beginning. I had certain family members that didn't want to admit that he was autistic. I still have family members up until today that won't really fully admit to it yet. They can't fully process it yet. I have people that tell me, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry." And it's like I tell them, no, there is nothing to be sorry about, because for me this is a true blessing. The fact that my only child came out to be autistic, for me, is a blessing. I couldn't have asked for anything better. It really is. It's a journey that you don't expect to go through as a mother, but as you're going through it, you realize the blessing that it really is. Because at the end of the day, they're really misjudged. They're way smarter than what people think they really are.
Amen.
No, 1,000 times smarter. Listen, Ronnie can't talk yet, but you give him the tablet or a paper or whatever, and he'll start adding on the paper. He'll do 3 plus 2 equals 5, 1 plus 1 equals 2. So he can't verbally speak to you, but that doesn't mean that he's not grasping what's going
Right.
on around him. Everything that he listens, everything that he watches, he's literally sinking it in you know I have family members that tell me, no, he was born autistic. And it's like I tell them, if he would have been born autistic and I would have had him diagnosed when he was born, I would have given him help a long time ago. But when he was born, the eye contact was there, him verbally saying stuff was there, like those cues that were giving me red flags after he turned the year and a half were not there before that year and a half mark. you know so believe me, if he would have been born autistic, I would have seen it earlier. We would have done something about this sooner, versus waiting until he turned a year and a half to try to do something about it. That being said, my parents, my sisters, my husband, they have been my village pretty much. Even my sister's mother-in-law, her, everybody has been so invested. I have an 11-year-old sister that can work with Ronnie like if she was me. Okay, because while we were in the pandemic and they did virtual school, she was staying with me here Monday through Friday. So she was involved in the behavior therapy. She was involved in the OT, in the speech therapy. So she knows exactly how to work with Ronnie. He doesn't want to shower. We're like, "Hey, Poppy, look, I have bubble bath, bubble bath. I have the color drops to change the water of the color. What color do you want the water? And she knows exactly how to get him into that shower. She knows exactly what he likes to eat. When Ronnie gets overstimulated and my mom is trying to calm him down, Kimberly's like, "Mommy, just throw yourself on the floor and hug him and massage his arms and rub him in his back and hug him, and he's gonna start calming down." And she knows exactly how to calm him down.
That
So,
is, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
and she's only 11,
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
That's a
you know.
blessing.
That's definitely amazing. Yeah.
So he sleeps over at my mother's house, and I'm okay with it because I know that if they can't work with him, she's always there and she works with him the best in that house. It's incredible how awesome she works with him.
So let me ask you, what advice would you offer to a new parent finding out that their child is being diagnosed with autism?
I would say don't blame yourself for it because it's not your fault. Okay, a lot of us like to say, where did I go wrong? How did I go wrong? What did I do? Was this something I ate when I was pregnant? Was this something I did when I was pregnant? No, it's not your fault. It's not dad's fault either. It had nothing to do, with either one of you. It's just something that happened. Okay, you're not alone. There's a way to work with it. A lot of people think that this is like a hopeless case. Like there's nothing we can do to work with it. There's no way it's going to get better. It will get better. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. It's a very hard and a very emotional fight. But at the end of the day, the blessings that you will get out of it are like, wow, they're priceless. What comes out of this journey that you have as a mother with an autistic child. Like it's incredible the journey you're gonna go through. It's a bond that you can have 4 more kids, and I promise you the bond that you have with that one particular will not be the same. It will not be the same. And it's not because he's your favorite either, because I find it hard to believe that a parent will have a favorite child, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just something special about them that makes that bond that much more special. It's I don't even know how to explain it myself sometimes.
I think you did a perfect job of explaining that. It's the truth. Anyone that has children knows that ultimately you don't have a favorite. There's one that you may lean on more than one or the other, but when it comes down to it, and I'm gonna be honest, I have told my children I do have favorites. I do have a favorite, but it rotates between all of them. That's the thing. It's not a favorite all the time. It would rotate between
It
all,
rotates.
and it's really the light they give when you least expect it that ends up giving them that special moment in time, I'll say.
Yeah.
You'll save it.
I was gonna say, how does dad feel about your son? How does he interact, or how has he been throughout the process? Let me ask you that.
So at first it was very hard with that too. It wasn't because of denial. It was because he works a lot. So he isn't really invested in his therapies the way we would like him to be. But I don't work. I stay at home with Ronnie. I started staying home with Ronnie a little bit before we got him diagnosed for the same reason, because we were already having problems at daycare because of the lack of communication between Ronnie and the teacher. We didn't have behavior therapy yet, so we had nobody to advocate for him when we weren't there. So we pulled him out of daycare. Daddy works Monday through Sunday, day in, day out. He prepares cars for street racing at the track.
Nice.
So he's really always busy at work. That being said, at the beginning, Ronnie wouldn't really want to interact with him either. Ronnie kind of like pushed him away. He didn't want to be near daddy. He couldn't be alone with daddy. So little by little, we went working on it. I would go outside for like 5-10 minutes, leave them alone in the house. And we started doing little intervals like that throughout the day until Ronnie started feeling comfortable being around daddy. And then over time, he got that bond that he was looking for, and now He loves to play with daddy. Daddy comes home and it's a party at the house, forget about going to bed. If dad comes home late, we're going to bed late, because he
Right.
won't go he won't go to bed until his dad comes home.
Oh,
And
wow.
if it's late already and daddy's not home yet and he's falling asleep, he'll look at me and he'll be like, call dada, call dada. And he won't go to sleep until either daddy gets home or we have daddy on the phone to say goodnight.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
He just won't. He really won't. As soon as he hears that phone call, we hang up and 10 minutes later, he's out cold. But he has to talk to dad and say goodnight before we go to bed. Like, that's a must.
That's nice. Yeah.
We go to the track. He loves to see daddy get the cars ready at the track. He loves to go see the race cars. That was something else we had to work on because the loud car noises used to bother him.
Right.
Now you can rev the car right next to him and he won't even flinch. It's like an everyday thing for him now, so he's come a very long way.
Nice. Yeah.
And his relationship with daddy has gotten so much better over time. The older he gets, the more he understands, the better he
Yeah.
works with daddy.
Nice. Yeah.
sometimes I think everyone just needs time.
Yeah.
He just needs time.
Yeah.
We all need time to process, and we all need time to adjust to our new normal now that we know what it is.
What it is.
Literally, it's just like what is going on? Like this is crazy. I'm losing sleep. I'm going crazy. But like, what is this? And once we get that diagnosis, it's like our aha moment. It's a pivotal moment to where it's like, okay, let's step back. Okay, so what comes with this? What can I do? And how do I move? And so it just takes time sometimes where
It's a whole process. It's a whole entire process to it. You can't just jump to it and say, okay, I was born ready for this, because in honesty, nobody was born ready for this. I don't think nobody is born ready for a child, period. you know like that itself is a whole nother concept, yet alone somebody you have to fight for and advocate for so hard, because as bad as this is going to sound, it is very hard for us mothers with any special needs kids at all, because of how hard we need to fight for them. The healthcare system sometimes itself becomes a problem.
Yes.
And you have to deal with the insurance, and you have to deal with Medicaid, and you have to deal with the social worker, the case manager. It's a lot of people that get involved in it once you have a special needs diagnosis. Because and you have to fight with everybody, because sometimes one will tell you one thing, somebody else tells you something completely different, and it really becomes a fight. It really becomes a fight. And then nobody understands the overwhelmness that you feel of having to be on the phone for hours, fighting, being on hold, getting transferred, the line dropped. We have to call again, hold again. Oh, you got transferred to the wrong department. Let me get you to the right one. It's a whole headache that comes with it. They just say, oh, you stay home all day with your son. That must be so nice. Then you get the behavior therapist and they tell you, oh, you got a nanny. How nice. No, she's not a nanny. Okay, because that's another one we hear a lot too when we get the behavior therapist. Oh, you got yourself a nanny. How nice. No, not a nanny. Far from being a nanny.
Right.
You don't understand the work that comes with her coming to my house every day, coming to school with Ronnie every day. It's not easy. It's not easy at all.
Right. Again, it's your normal, and it's not. And I totally hear what you're saying with regards to the negative connotation behind a nanny, because that's not what it is. It's assistance is what it is. It's assistance, which is, I mean, hugely different from what you want to just call a typical nanny. A nanny is someone you drop a kid off with and walk away, and it's whatever. This is a special needs child, so it takes a lot of thought. It takes a lot of energy and trust to be able to choose this person to be with your child. It's a whole lot of trust that goes into that,
because you're not talking about an hour or two a day. We're talking about 4 to 6 hours 5 days out of the week.
right?
You know, you have to be able to trust this person with your child, because at home, fine, you're at home with them. But if he's going to daycare, you have to be able to trust her to advocate for your child in daycare, which is the problem I had. The daycare that I had Ronnie in, Ronnie's teacher, she would let the therapist do everything for him. School, VPK work, whatever came down for the day, the therapist did it with Ronnie. And it's like I told the therapist, that is not your job. You are there to assist Ronnie with whatever the teacher is assigning him. But at the end of the day, she's the one that needs to sit down with Ronnie and give him the work. She's the one that needs to explain to him what's going on. And then if he needs further help, that's why you're there. No, the teachers are telling the RBTs that they have to do it because they get paid more than the teachers. You know, and no, that's not your problem. That's not why you're there. That's not why you got assigned to my child. You're there to help, to assist my son, not to take over whatever it is that the teacher has to do on a daily basis in daycare.
Right. Well, I just want to thank you so much for being transparent with us. Again, we really wanted to use this as a resource for parents with children with autism, or even people that just wanted to understand more about what a parent goes through with a child with autism, to really get an understanding and just make it a safe place to land, so that we gain more knowledge, not only, you know, for ourselves, but as a whole, to have more grace and have more understanding when we see someone in the store that's struggling with a child. It's not always that they're a quote unquote bad kid. So I just want to thank you so much. And again, entrusting us to be able to share a Sunshine's Christmas with Ronnie. We are excited to celebrate him this Christmas and take a little bit of the load off of you with showering him with all the love. So,
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's like I told you guys, we hear a lot about the different types of foundations doing these types of things for families. Never in 1,000 years did I imagine Ronnie getting nominated for one, yet alone being recipient of one. So this is the world for us. I really do appreciate everything you guys do for everybody out there.
you are so
You're welcome. Yeah, we appreciate you, and you know, just keep fighting the fight.
Absolutely.
Keep on fighting the fight for your son, and you know, we're here as a resource if you need us.
Absolutely.
So please reach out.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, my dear. So are you. Again, as Michael said, keep doing what you're doing. You have a wonderful holiday season.
Yes.
We appreciate you, and keep in touch.
You guys stay safe, okay?
You
You
too,
too.
my dear.
Thank
Take care.
Thank you.